You know, I think so many things choose you in this life if you trust the process enough.
Good day, and welcome to the Luke Yannick podcast. I am really excited about today's guest. It's Robyn Gooding. She's a coach's coach and has been described as a gentle powerhouse. And this is really fitting because her results speak for themselves. Recently, she's been awarded the Business Coach of the Decade Award. Her genuine care for people comes through in everything that she does. Today, we get into intuition versus logic, the two types of fear, and why slowing down is one of the most productive things that you can do. Let's get into it. Hope you enjoy.
Yeah, buddy.
Well, first of all, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate it. Looking forward to this for a while, so this is fun.
Likewise.
One of the first questions I have for you is, what caused you to want to be a coach?
I had a really bad breakup in 2012. I had a woman in my life and I didn't know what I needed. I just knew that I needed to reassess my whole life. And I also didn't want to go through that breakup, but there was this inner knowing that like it just wasn't right.
Okay.
And so I think that feeling of this isn't right has always been there for me. I have like a really strong intuition, but it's really shitty when something's not right and you really, really want it.
Because you can almost overpower it.
Always. And I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
And I was heartbroken, but I knew I didn't need therapy because it wasn't that I needed to process anything from the past. It was just like, how do I set myself up for listening to this part of me that screams at me sometimes? And how do I tap into courage? How do I tap into communicating boundaries, convictions? How do I hold myself in my worthiness? How do I live in wholeness? Those were the bigger questions. And so I asked this woman, I don't think I even knew what a coach was, to be honest. I just knew she helped people with like future planning. And so I said, hey, can you help me? And she was my first coach. I was 22, I think, maybe just turned 23. Yeah, I think I just turned 23.
Okay.
And I then met 10 days after I met my husband.
Oh, that's
my
cool.
now husband.
That's cool.
Yeah. And I really struggled with leaning into dating him. And so I often say she's the reason we're together.
That's cool. Love it.
Yeah, because I think society says all these things like you got to heal after heartbreak. You got to be single for a period of time. There are all these rules.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so like, again, it was like, this is right, but like, I don't want it to be right. So I'd come from like, this is wrong, but I want it to be right, to now this feels right, but I want it to not be because I don't think I should be ready for it. And so through that, she really showed me how to listen to myself and like trust that voice. I think when you experience some like profound life change, you go, how can I help other people?
I totally
with
agree.
this?
Yeah. When something helps you so much, you feel so compelled to want to share it.
Exactly.
And I was thinking about that yesterday, how if anybody has whatever changed them, they really want to share that.
Totally.
And there's so many different modalities. And you can see that's why people go into like healthcare professions because it helped their family members or something.
Yeah. And we're helpers, you
Absolutely.
and I.
Yeah.
I think that's also our personality.
Yeah.
And it's at times for me, at least, been a toxic side. There's a shadow side of that. And I think coaching has been this really amazing personal development vehicle for myself too. Because to be a masterful coach, you have to grow as a human first, right?
Yeah. So you received coaching and then you're inspired to coach.
Well, there's a big gap. So that was 2012.
Okay.
And then I was working in business consulting. I was in business strategy. And I was so I was living in Vancouver at the time, met my husband. We then decided to move overseas. We moved to Japan. And I was doing business consulting, and my master's degree. And so I just was like on a different path. I was doing international relations. I wanted to work for the United Nations. I wanted to work in diplomacy of some kind. And Yeah. And then fast forward, like there's this long journey, fast forward to 2019. So 7 years later, I realized, oh, coaching is actually this missing piece to get my business consulting clients the real transformation they need. Because we can do strategy all day long. But if we're not optimizing the human being who's executing on the vision, who's executing on the strategy, if we're not holding them in their wholeness and reminding them of that, then it falls short.
Yeah.
And so that's when I actually started my certification process.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And then you became coach, and then you gradually got into, now you coach coaches. And how did that, like, what inspired you to do that? And how was that, that transition from one to the other? Because you still do the coaching part.
You know, I think so many things choose you in this life. If you trust the process enough, they find you.
Cool.
And I've just followed the breadcrumbs all the way. I don't think there's ever been a moment of like, this is what I want to do explicitly. I've had this broader idea of, I really love working with women. I really love people who are unsubscribing from certain systems that are, I think, oppressive and don't support the healthy whole human. And it just kind of, I think, snowballed into me just becoming really, I guess, skilled. It's a skill, right? And I invested a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of energy into refining my craft. And then I started attracting more coaches, therapists, people in that space. And I never really like said, that's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
It just kind of happened.
That's awesome. Because so many people said they set their 20-year goals and then their yearly goals, quarterly goals, and I'm going to get this. But then it's so structured that if you get outside of it, it feels like you fail. Yeah.
And I feel like you limit yourself because oftentimes you're setting those goals from limited perspectives, limited beliefs. And so I like to just go like, I'm open to it all.
Nice.
And it's part of who I become. And there's a natural evolution because I'm sure that even 2 years ago, where I'm at today, I couldn't have pictured.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. So one of the questions I had for you, so it was later down, but we'll get to it now because you said it already.
Yeah.
It was about intuition. And I'm exploring it, loving it, playing with it, starting to listen to it. I think the intuition's been there for most of my life, but I kind of just like, that's weird. Put it in the back. That didn't happen. But now starting to like, okay, I'll listen, and then being very rewarded. And so when you look at intuition in business, how do you use intuition mixed with your logic and strategy? Do you know what I'm getting at? It's kind of a tricky question, but I thought it'd be pretty cool to explore.
I like to think of the masculine and the feminine in business too. And if we think about the masculine as this like container, this healthy home for the idea, we need to have room within that house to be free and to explore. And to me, that's the feminine side, which is more intuitive, energetic, emotional, creative even. And I'm just a natural rule breaker, I think. And so being too rigid, too structured has never worked for me. And if I look at the best entrepreneurs, almost all of them have this rebellious streak of like, F the system, you know? Yeah. And so I think if we over prescribe in business because it's logical, we actually lose the magic. We lose the visionaries who are taking us into horizons we haven't explored yet. They need to be able to have the freedom to say, I know this works. Logically, I get that I can make money doing this and structure it this way. But like, what if I do it this way? Maybe it'll be cooler. Maybe I'll fail. That's okay. At least I'm failing great at it, you know? And having that kind of attitude, I think, is important. And when we have that intuition around, go here, I feel like there's this divine co-creation that's happening because I think we're all here for a reason and we're all here to birth something in the world that the world needs that only we can bring. And so if it's not modeled for you because no one else has had your exact life, your lived experience, your brain, your trauma, like all of the things that make you you, and you don't listen to that internal voice that knows all those things and that knows that there's something specific for you to bring into the world, then I think we're losing the magic that only you can bring.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that you're leaning into that voice.
Yeah. And it's not very, I see there's an open and a willingness with women for sure. There's this like, oh, intuition, the feminine side is very accepted. But when you talk to a dude, hey man, how's your intuition doing? It's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what did you just say? Like,
yeah.
It's not really accepted, but it is it's not a female trait only. It's a human trait. And so it's very interesting, even just my self-exploration, being open to it, allowing it. And it's pretty cool.
What does the logic do when you're at odds?
Oh, I've had so many examples in the last week where the logic wants to overpower it. Like, for example, when I broke my hand mountain biking, intuitively, instantly, I knew it was broken. The first question I put in ChatGPT are, what are the signs of a broken hand?
Oh, shoot. Yeah.
But in my head, the logic was like, it might be a bruise. It might be a bruise. It might. And for about 2 hours, I knew it was broken, but my logical brain was, well, maybe it isn't. Maybe it isn't. No, it might be just fine. Maybe it's just a week. You're not going to lose summer. It was just like this constant battle of a message of intuition versus a logical trying to think my way through it, and the I guess the struggle that happens when I do that.
Well, I think, your aviation past is also interesting in this, because so often, from what I've seen in aviation, is like, that's kind of like, don't go there. There's rules, there's textbook, there's like procedures, like follow them to the T. We've seen this before, we know this before. And so, like, in a way, you've been trained to be like, no, don't break a rule.
Oh, to suppress it.
Yeah. Like, you got to follow the book.
Yeah, to suppress intuition, but to suppress all emotion too. Because when you're on the flight deck and if something bad's happening, you don't really have time to feel. It's time to act. And so as I've moved through this whole process of learning about myself, I was so stoic. Like, my aviation career was so stoic, and I reveled in it, of not having emotion.
Yeah, badge of honor.
And then I got a family.
Right. Some girls.
Yeah, I got the wife, 2 girls and a boy. They cracked me wide open.
Yeah.
And I had all these feelings and I didn't know what to do with them. So it's been a big learning process to learn the emotion. And then it was like a denial of the emotion, and then an acceptance of the emotion, and now doing some work with it to understand it, feel it, and all that stuff.
Yeah, I applaud you. I think these are conversations that men don't often have socially.
Yeah.
So it's cool that
I think lots of guys, in a group setting, it's kind of frowned upon.
Yeah.
But if you can have a honest, connected conversation with a guy, a lot of time you can share the stuff and they will open up, which is pretty cool.
When you go first.
Yeah, I always go first with everything. It's just, when you open up, it gives the other person an opportunity to.
Oh, so true. That's just that permission slip to, like, be you.
Yeah.
Without judgment.
Yeah. Or I screwed up, or I did this. And it's just like the lowering of the guard. Not all the time. Sometimes they're pretty stoic and stuck in it, but maybe it's not right for them. Yeah.
Not yet.
How do you determine the difference between intuition and the other voices or logic, and fear will creep in there? And how have you developed your relationship with that?
You nailed it. I think fear for me is my sign, at least. Am I acting fear-based? Or is fear just present because I'm growing and I'm stretching? And am I running away from something? Am I running towards something? I think it requires a high level of self-awareness and a high level of self-honesty to be able to sit in that liminal space sometimes too, of like the pause. I call it the sacred pause.
Okay.
We don't have that often in our life. It's very fast-paced. We want things quickly. And to honor the sacred pause without getting stuck there because it's scary to make a move. That is something I've had to really learn my own boundaries around. And so sometimes, like in the past, I've wanted to just like rush through that process. And I would say the last 3 to 4 years of my life, I've called it the slow burn chapter, because if you had asked me many years ago, my worst personal trait is patience. I have been a very impatient person most of my life. And the last 3 to 4 years, life has really said,
You don't get to choose this.
You don't get to choose this. Like, you have to sit in the mud and you don't get to fast forward. And it's been great, painfully great, because I've been able to honor that, the sacred pause. But when we rush from A to B, we miss the magic again. So yeah, I think that there's this, and I've also never really leaned into avoidance as a coping pattern, but I've noticed in the last 3 to 4 years, that's become more of a pattern for me too. So I look at, am I being impatient? Is this uncomfortable? Is this fear-based? Like, do I have a root, like, anxiety sensation underneath this?
Okay.
Do I know something to be true, but I don't want to accept that it's true? So often we can honestly answer that ourselves. If we look at secondary losses and secondary gains, that's often a clue too, around a decision that you know you need to make.
What do you mean by secondary losses?
So let me think of an example here. So I have a client, they really are not aligned with their business model, but it's a 7-figure cash cow.
Okay.
And they know it's not sustainable for them, for their soul. They want something else. But there's secondary losses for making that decision, which is the 7-figure cash cow.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then there's secondary gains.
Yeah.
Like freedom.
Yeah.
And openness to what's next. And so burning that to the ground or staying in it has trade-offs. And so I've learned to like be able to see, this is where the logic I think is actually very helpful for the intuition, because you can start to see based on what logic is saying, like your example of your hand breaking. Logic was like, it could be bruised, but there's a fear behind that. And it's that your summer is gone and you won't be mountain biking anymore. Right. So like there's a clue there.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
versus
cool.
like this inner knowing of, no, I don't think it's quite broken. That would be different.
And I found that there's a, when you say intuition, I've found my best decisions have been a combination of intuition, logic, emotion. When someone says, oh, you're using intuition, sometimes they think that you're just taking your logical brain and completely disregarding it. And for a lot of people, that sounds very scary. That sounds like you're out of control, and is something else driving you or something else controlling you that you don't have control. That sounds very scary for most people. But some of my best decisions have been a combination of bringing in some logic, listening to the intuition, and then combined moving through. It's been like really aha moment, or it's just led to some really good results that just using logic or just using intuition, I may have not got to. Yeah.
So true. I can definitely relate to that. You need the yin and the yang.
Yeah, totally. I'm curious your thoughts on this. There's this huge movement for artificial intelligence right now. And I think people like you and me and other coaches are really big on the HI, the human intelligence. And I'm just wondering your thoughts on that, because ego on social media right now, it's all about AI, but we seem to be losing the human element. And personally, I think that's the most important part.
Oh man, this is like, I could take this a million directions. So yes, to all of that.
Okay.
I used to think that we had amazing coaches, because I work in the marketing space. I used to think we had amazing coaches that were hidden treasure. They were never discovered because they didn't know how to create content. They didn't know how to market themselves. And part of what did a huge disservice to the coaching industry are the good marketers who were brilliant at marketing themselves, but like behind the scenes, they were not at all in their integrity as a coach. And so we created this weird, it's a dysregulated industry. We created this situation where a lot of people were getting burned. And so at first, I was like excited about AI in terms of the marketing piece, because I could see clients who struggled in that area get support to get out of their own way. They were prompted. They were able to expedite their content creation. And then they like basically just started handing over their brain to AI. And now everything sounds the same. I can pick up an email. My clients will send me copy review every week, sales pages, emails, content creation, and I can just smell ChatGPT. And I'm saying that because there's so many AI options, but like that's the one that
it's the big one.
It's the big one. And it's also the like I think where people start often. And I'm just like, oh, even when they've edited out the M dashes and like the questions and all the ways that AI tends to write, there's just this lack of soul and depth and voice. And I listened to a really fascinating podcast episode from Simon Sinek recently.
Oh, he's so good.
Yeah. And he was speaking about how the thing that AI is eradicating that's sad for him is this like surprise element and the imperfect. And I'm going to butcher his analogy, but you can listen to the podcast. I'll send you the link. But the Spark Notes version is that AI is almost too perfect to the point where people are actually losing connection. Because if you think about anyone you love, do you love the people who have everything figured out? They always look perfect. Their life is always perfect.
This is it.
Everything is always perfect.
Yeah.
Or do you love the people who are like, oh my God, I'm wearing 2 different socks. My dog just stole dinner and I've got a kid crying on my hip and I'm late for work and I'm disheveled and like, this is me and I'm having a hard day, but also this is great in my life. And like, it's just the human piece. And so I think that as coaches, we have to really hold ourselves to a higher integrity of bringing that human intelligence and our heart space and our lived experience and our brain, because there's so much research now around how many brain cells literally shut down, parts of our brain literally shut down when we overly rely on AI to think for us and to create for us. And so, yeah, I'm scared about losing that spark of genius in people who are over reliant on it. And also I see how it's beneficial and wonderful and useful, especially to my clients who struggled with marketing. They're getting out of their own way faster.
Okay.
And that's great. So yeah, I think, double-edged sword. Constantly thinking about how do I myself, and I've actually, sadly, I've seen behind very high level masterminds, people are paying tens of thousands of dollars to be in this room. And in replies and support, I'm seeing the coach use chat to coach clients. And so like there's ethical things here that I think we have to be really clear on too, because you're not hiring chat to coach you.
No, I could see using it for inspiration for use. I'll use it if I'm creating something. I'm like, help me explore this area, but it has to be authentic.
Yeah.
Like you said, you can see right through it. And I think a lot of people are starting to. They're like, oh, that looks very AI. It looks fake.
Well, I mean, you just scroll back like 3 months of their content, for example, and it's like, oh, this voice is not theirs. And people who aren't in that world yet, maybe they're still being like inspired by that, or they're still connecting to it maybe. But if it's around long enough, you can't rely on that because people will smell it, and you have to bring your uniqueness to your art. Coaching is an art. You have to refine your art without needing AI to do it for you.
Well, and being a human to be an authentic person is so attractive these days. Like if you are your true self with your flaws and you admit that, I think people are really attracted to the realness. And like you said, not being too polished and too correct and having some quirks and making some mistakes. It's like a breath of fresh air.
We've been testing some marketing with clients who are intentionally misspelling words, intentionally using small case at the start of a sentence, improper punctuation, and the click rates and the engagement rates in those emails are significantly better than an edited AI version.
I saw this one woman on social media and she grew up I don't know her name, but she made a bunch of very attractive to hook you in videos, millions of views. And she said some of the things that would get people's attention was the most random things. Like they purposefully left some tampons in the fridge. So when she went to the fridge to go grab something, she grabbed the milk and then came out. But the comment section is just blasted with what's with that.
Yeah.
But like, thank you. The algorithm loves comments, and it's just like
That's
it's
genius.
like that's pretty. That's not really authentic, but
Yeah.
it is showing like how we can make mistakes and how we can also. I think with coaches, we want to be at the certain level to attract people. Like, look, I have the answers. And I think what's wonderful is people like you and other coaches I've worked with is you can see the human side, and when that happens, it's more relatable, and the message seems to transfer through. One thing I've been exploring is like the communication of talking down, talking up, and talking across to people. And I think a lot of coaches tend to talk down to people, like from a position of they know more or are more. And I think instantly that puts the person on the other end, whether it's on the camera or in a coaching session, it puts them really pulled back. And then I think in sales, I was talking about the difference of talking up to people and how the person on the other side, they then feel that too. They feel you talking up to them, and then they almost pull back from that too. And when we can just be real and just talk to each other as humans, it just seems to be so much more effective.
Yeah. When I have coaching clients specifically who are having a hard time, they're feeling like an imposter. For example, if I have a client who's a relationship coach going through a divorce,
yes,
they're like, how can I authentically help people if my own relationship's a disaster? And I think we don't blame the orthopedic surgeon if he breaks his arm.
Mm-hmm.
But coaching tends to have this culture of like, I need to be evolved. I need to have sorted out more of my stuff. I need to have more of the answers. When you think about it, a brilliant coach is really not about themselves having the answers.
Mm-hmm.
It's about them helping you step into your own power, tap into your own wisdom, and trust those answers that you find within yourself along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And so if we put the spotlight back on the client and really help them build themselves, that's what makes you a good coach.
Absolutely.
You don't need to be a perfect person to hold space for someone else's brilliance.
Mm-hmm. I look at sports all the time because people forget, like whether you're a life coach, business coach, whatever coach you are, people forget that like the original in my mind is sports coaching.
Yeah.
And you don't expect, like when Phil Jackson was coaching the Bulls and Michael Jordan was playing, Phil Jackson wasn't on the court trying to get buckets. He's trying to get the best out of
the player,
Michael and Scotty and Dennis, and create the best team cohesion. And so there is a weird thing that if you are not it, or if you don't demonstrate exactly what it is what industry you're in coaching, it's the knowledge and getting the best out of the other person that should be the metric.
Always.
Yeah. Double standard though, hey?
Well, and I wonder what ego plays in that too,
yeah.
right? I think it's hard when you're feeling like a low or failure in an area to then question how you can support somebody else.
Yeah.
But, life is going to have seasons.
Yeah.
You're going to have summer, winter, spring, and fall.
Yes.
And if we can lean into that, doesn't mean that we can't. If I'm in a winter season, I've been in a long winter season. I would say now I'm in a spring season. But for many years, I was in a winter season supporting clients in their summer.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that it took away from how I was able to hold them. If anything, I think it added.
Cool.
Because we have to be present with our own stuff, but contain it.
Can you say that again?
Yeah. Like I have to be aware of my stuff. I have to be aware of my projections. I have to be aware of my shadows. I have to be aware of where I might be leaking into client work, client sessions, energetic boundaries, emotional hygiene. That's super, super important to me with my client work. And so I'm always aware of that. I mean, to as much as I can be.
Yeah.
But I'm always aware of the work needing to be done. And then because I'm growing so much when I'm present to my own stuff and my own season, somehow it means that I can be so much more present without wanting to fix somebody else's stuff. It's like, not everything needs to be fixed.
Right now.
No.
Yeah.
Like, can we just be there? I can be there with you. I'm not running away. I'm not scared of it. No matter what you bring to me, I'm not scared of it. Like, I'm going to sit there with you because I'm not scared of my own stuff. I faced darkness. I faced really deep, deep stuff. So it's, I think, creates safety in the client because they feel that, whether they can put their finger on it or not. You can feel when someone's like,
oh, for sure.
I don't want to go there.
Yes.
This is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Let's brush that under the rug.
And the idea of not fixing for most people immediately is tough. Like me, especially when as a guy, you're rewarded for fixing. You fix the house, fix the car, fix your business, fix your work with your kids.
It's your social capital in many ways.
Absolutely. It's like when you fix stuff, you feel really good. So then when Naomi has a bad day and comes home from work, it's like there's this compelling, I want to help, I want to fix. And it's only lately that I've learned to, you call it, sit with it and allow it instead of just bringing out a hammer and a chisel and going away. And the only reason I learned it is from failing so many times. By going in, I'm like, well, I'm going to go, oh yeah, it looks like my kid's having a hard day. Well, let's go in and let's go work on that. And it just blows up in my face. And then I realized that it's not my timing or my discomfort that is important. It's the other person that really has to go through their own process and not on my timeline. And that's really helped in this house.
Well, I can imagine. It's a hard thing.
Oh, yeah.
I had a major savior complex, for sure.
Okay.
Firstborn daughter.
Yes.
The glue in some ways. Miss Fix It All. Make everyone happy.
All right.
I can solve that problem. That's on me. And just overly responsible, hypervigilant, control freak, like you name it, perfectionist. And it's like, oh, I'm not trying to save them. I'm trying to save me from like the discomfort of like sitting on my hands or swallowing my words, you know, like having to just allow people to be in their process because I don't know better. My ego says maybe sometimes I do, but like, do I really? Have I lived their life? And yeah, and it's hard sometimes to let people you love sit in that.
Oh, yeah.
And not want to rescue them. But we can't save someone. And I'll tell clients when they'll come to me with struggling businesses, I'll say, we can help the business, but I can't save you. I'm not going to save you. I'm not your Hail Mary. I'm not your 911 call. I'm not your SOS. Like, that's you. But I'm going to show you how you can be that for yourself.
And it's like to empower the person to build their own sense of self is the ultimate goal, whether being a parent or being a coach with your clients. I'm sure it's not about wanting them to want you more so you can give them all the answers. It's like, I think the ultimate win is when they start to move through it and they get it themselves and develop that internal solution. I don't know what to call it, but
yeah, I think of it as resilience.
Okay.
I want clients who have resilient businesses, first and foremost, businesses that can go through the ups and downs and the different seasons and still be healthy and hold them in life too. I work a lot with parents and moms, and you're going to have sick days. You're going to have days where you're working in a 30-minute window, and sometimes those are weeks and months. Can your business still be sustainable? That's important for me. And then the person too. Are you a resilient person? Can you get knocked down many, many times and find your way back up? You know, that's required. That grit is required. And I don't know that we value hardship the way that we should in our modern world where everything's comfortable and convenient and a little bit easier. There's some real value to leaning into hardship and not making it wrong, not making yourself wrong in all the messy ways we navigate hardship imperfectly. And I think it makes better business owners. I'll often say to my clients, do you want consulting advice right now? Do you want mentorship or do you want coaching? because those are three different things.
True.
And I can help you in most of those ways. But it's interesting to me because when a client will say, I want coaching, it's such a great moment for them to recognize that they actually have it within themselves. And just because someone else has lived something doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to be the exact wisdom that they need for their own unique path.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so I think there's this like balance of, it would be foolish not to listen to lived experience from other people, but it's equally foolish to just mute your own voice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And blindly accept it.
Blindly accept it.
Try and do what they did.
Mm-hmm.
And so I really like that you said you can coach, consult, and what was the other one?
Mentor.
And mentor. And how do you see, of those three, how do you see them all different?
A very surface level simplification of it would be consulting is advice giving. Mm-hmm. So it's more strategic and it's based on lots. I've been doing this for 13 years.
Okay.
So over a decade worth of seeing behind lots and lots of businesses at lots of different stages. And I can give you that consulting advice in terms of like, this is what I've seen work. This is what I've seen fail. This is what I'm seeing is working right now. This is where I'm seeing you're struggling. Mentorship is, this is what I've lived. This is what I've experienced. This is what I know to be true for me based on what I've personally navigated.
Your experiences.
Yeah.
Okay.
So lived wisdom, embodied wisdom.
Okay.
And then coaching is asking really good questions and helping them tap into what they need to look at within themselves.
That's cool. That's
Yeah.
really cool. I guess the one of the questions I have is, I love this topic of fear lately. I think I've moved so much through my life subconsciously through fear that I didn't even know was there. Then when the light bulb goes on it and you see it and you can actually start working with it, but it's still operating in the background. And I'm just wondering, how do you manage your fear? Because you have an ability to put yourself out there, to share, to create, to build. And in order to do that, you have to be able to move through that fear. And I'm just wondering what works for you, I guess is the question.
Many years ago, I learned this concept of Hebrew word for fear. There's two different words. Maybe there's more, but there's these two words at least. I'm going to not pronounce this properly, but Pachad, P-A-C-H-A-D, and Yirah, Y-I-R-E-H. Pachad is that fear of there's a monster under the bed. It's that instinctive, responsive survival fear. Yirah is the fear of I'm doing something new and it's scary, but there's an excitement, there's an uncertainty, there's a risk involved. I don't know where I'm going. I don't see the whole staircase, but I want to take the first step. And so one of the things that I do is I tune into my body. Where is that sensation? Is it when I feel Pachad? And it's a lot of somatic work. So it's like when I feel Pachad, where does that live? Where does that feel like in my body? And when I have the Yirah experience, usually that's an expansion. So I'm feeling afraid, but there's also this like expansion. There's this excitement along with it versus this contraction I want to hide. And not necessarily like the micro task required, but in terms of the vision, right? So I've moved to a new country that I've never been to before. I was terrified. That was more Yirah, right? I've been in bad situations on travels that were more Pachad. It was survival.
Okay.
Get out of a bad situation.
Yes.
And so for me, I at first will distinguish those two. Secondly, I think we have to make our faith and our vision bigger than the fear. So there's trade-offs. Am I willing to do the scary thing? If it means I can possibly create X, Y, and Z, what's the worst case scenario if I don't take that action? What's the worst case scenario if I do? What's the best case scenario? Our brain's going to naturally want to go worst case scenario, right? But for example, when I quit my 9-to-5, my family needed my income. I quit it on the spot. I did not have another backup job. I did not yet have money coming in my coaching business. And yet it was like I just felt that intuitive Yirah, like go all in.
Cool.
And there's this experience of like, okay, I'm scared to like it's weird to like speak to a camera and like thousands of people every day sometimes. It's still cringe to me sometimes. I've done it for many times, for years. And I'm still cringe sometimes. I'm like, oh, am I willing to be cringe today if it means that I can pick up my daughter from horse camp today? If it means that I can provide financially for my family without needing to make some difficult choices around child giving for my infant? Am I willing to do that if it means I change one person's life this week?
Cool.
Like, yes, my faith and the vision is bigger. I think it's really hard in a business sense if you don't really freaking love what you do. And if you don't really have a clear vision that is not just about what you want to give to the world, there has to be some like personal motivation too. And it's not always a popular thing to say. Everyone wants to make the world better. Yeah. And also you want to make your own world, your own life better.
Yes.
You need to have that extrinsic and intrinsic motivation.
Yeah.
Constantly doing that, reevaluating, because it changes too. Right? I remember I said to my coach, we actually did I don't know why I said yes to this, but 6 months of coaching, recorded, shared for thousands of people every week.
Okay.
Didn't edit myself at all. You see me go through all of my stuff for 6 months.
And this is you receiving coaching?
I'm receiving my coaching. And I wanted it to be a gift to the coaching world of like, and my clients. Like I hold lots of people every week and I have my own stuff. But I remember saying to her, I don't know what happened to my ambition because like at this point I was on a very long fertility journey and I just really wanted the baby. And she kept being like, what do you want for your business? And I was like, I don't know. I just want the baby. And it was like part of me felt like I had to pick between ambition and motherhood or like having success in one area of my life or the other. And so I didn't know it at the time, but I was really thinking that you couldn't actually have it all. You couldn't actually be winning in multiple areas of your life. This thing that came really easily to me in some ways and was really thriving. And this thing that was like a grind and heartbreaking and like breaking me. And I was just like, I don't care. Like, I just want the baby. She's like, I'm giving you business coaching and all you want is the baby. And like, I think that's because I lost the vision. I couldn't see how the business was helping me get the baby. And finance, I mean, last year I spent at least 6 figures on fertility alone. Just 1 year of 4 years. My business was helping me get the baby.
Absolutely.
It was helping me be the mother. It's helping me now be the mother to that. He just turned 7 months old, baby. It was helping me be a better person. It was helping me stay in the process and have stamina for the process. And so my vision, I thought, was like over here, but really I needed to merge them together again. And I think a lot of people segregate these areas of their life. Like, this is my business vision. This is my family vision. This is my health vision. When we can bring it all together and make it really tangible, and you can really clearly see how they work together to add to your life, those little fear things, not little, I don't mean to minimize them, but like they do start to pale in comparison to what's on the other side of that.
And what I'm hearing from you there is like, which fear do you want to listen to?
Exactly.
The fear that's going to hold you back, or the fear of the excitement, or it's thank you for sharing that, because it's such, and I remember you did share that with me before now, but it's such a nice, to bring awareness to it, because they're quite different.
So different.
If you're going to go back, so you've been coaching for over a decade now, you get the chance to go back and talk to yourself when you're first starting off.
Yeah.
What would be like some really good pieces of advice you would give yourself back then?
Specific to business?
No, just everything, whether it's life, business, whatever resonates with you.
I would say it's safe to soften.
Okay.
I would say it's about giving more than receiving. I would say it gets to be bigger than you ever dreamed of.
Cool.
And I would say it also has moments that are harder than you can begin to comprehend, but you're stronger. And you can be both soft and strong at the same time. Because I think I knew how to be strong in some ways and I knew how to be soft in some ways, but I didn't know how the two actually could coexist really beautifully.
That's imagine yourself receiving that advice and how powerful that would be.
Yeah, because I don't think I would go back and tell myself details of what I would go through.
Or bet on this team to win $1 million.
I mean, maybe that's what I probably should do. Buy Bitcoin.
Yeah, buy Bitcoin, get into it.
Yeah. But I think that it's more about like character development and perspective, because if you can have the right perspective in any situation, that can change everything, really.
So that's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing that.
Thanks for asking.
We talked about it over text, but you were talking about biorelating, and I did some research on it, read up on it, didn't really get a good grip on it. So I thought, why not just ask you your thoughts on it and how it's applicable to you right now?
Yeah. So I would say I'm also not an expert on it. I'm very much a student of it, but it's something that I'm spending a lot of time trying to understand because I have a really complicated relationship with feminism.
Okay.
Where I'm so grateful for the way that feminists have really moved us forward as women and men and society. But I'm grateful to past feminist icons who created opportunities that I get to have today. Like I get to have a credit card, I get to vote, I get to work, I get to be an independent entity for my husband. And I think that parts of feminism sold me a lie. And I'm working a lot with women who are moms, and they're trying to find that balance of, we were told we could do it all and we had to do it all. And in many ways, the subtle way that we received that advice was you could do it like a man, or you should do it like a man. And I've had to unravel a lot of this myself. There's some interesting research around stay-at-home dads who their testosterone ends up getting really low, because testosterone is not a hormone that is conducive to nurturing a baby in a way. That's you're fighting and you're protecting and you're going out and you're hunting. And so now you're like soothing and comforting and a silly little cut that needs like a lot of love and tears and is like really frustrating for you sometimes. You have to be gentle in that. And so there's this crazy research that shows those dads have like a really big drop in their testosterone. I don't know that it's necessarily good or bad. It's just, it is what's happening. And then women who are not involved with their kids as much are getting an increase in it. And then they're coming home together and it's off.
Yeah, it's almost against the natural balance.
Like evolution hasn't quite caught up, you know?
Yeah.
And so in my own life, I'm married to a partner who's gone a lot. I'm in my masculine a lot when he's gone. I'm both mom and dad. In my business, I'm mostly in my masculine, I would say, in terms of space holding. My feminine for creation, but it's still very much like, you know, alpha. Yeah. And I want to be a really present, soft, feminine mom. And it's an interesting exploration for me around how do I do that, both in my relationship so that we're biorelating in a healthy way and not softening my ambition, not making that wrong, but also prioritizing my kids. There's a lot of interesting research around institutional daycare being really, really harmful for children, reasons, policies for why we have some of these systems in place that are meant to support mothers to work outside the home. Do they really? What's the impact on attachment for kids? What's the impact on women who are made to feel guilty for staying at home with their kids because they're not contributing to the world around them? And guilt for mothers who are not at home with their kids enough. You know, these are conversations I have with mothers every single day, and they're ones I have with myself every single day. So I'm trying to figure out what does the biology say? What do the systems support? What do I want for myself? Where's this like sweet spot, you know? Because I don't know that it's binary. And it, you know, and going through it, I tried to have a baby at 31, didn't work. I ended up having him at 35, but I was so angry that I was told I could have it all. And that I should have my career up and running, and that I should pause that in like what is actually very important reproductive years, you know? And so that's what kind of started it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Two things I wanted to share on that is, one, social media is going to give you you should do this, you should do this, you should do this. And you see everyone doing usually the best in what they're doing, but we don't see the person as a complete whole, like you talked about earlier, that isn't going to be the best at everything, because there's always going to be someone better than us, and the competition to be like them, achieve like them, is unattainable. But then the other thing I heard you say there is the emotion of guilt it keeps showing up. And I think guilt is so ever present, and just talking about it and bringing awareness to it helps soften it, because I feel guilt as a dad if I'm not doing enough with my kids. Then I feel guilt as a small business owner that, oh, wow, I have my 50 things that need to get done and they didn't get done. And then, oh, I feel guilt because, oh, I forgot, I got to change the spark plugs on the car because they're due. And, oh, I feel guilt because I got to cut the grass. And then the guilt gets to a certain level that it just becomes overwhelming. And I just tend to like pull back, and I know a solution to get through it is to take action. But if guilt is ever present driving the bus, it's really hard to move forward. And I was just wondering how you are noticing the guilt and how you move through it as a mom, as a business owner, as a wife. There's so many things for you to balance. And how do you do it with grace?
I don't always do it.
Because you're doing a pretty good job, Robyn.
Thank you.
You are. And that's one of the questions I really wanted to ask you is how, not saying you have it perfect, but how do you do it? What's working for you in that area?
One of my frameworks I use is the pause, pace, and push method.
Okay.
And I'm really clear, not just in my business, but in life, what needs pausing? Where do I need to pace myself? Because I can't drop that ball, but I also don't have the energy to like push that forward. And then what needs to get pushed? And it's in constant fluctuation. And then we think about rubber balls and glass balls. If I'm juggling lots of balls, what's a rubber ball it's going to bounce if I drop it?
True.
And what's a glass ball that's going to shatter?
Okay.
And when I use this analogy, my very intelligent Swiss client says, yeah, and even glass balls can get put back together. You know? And so it's also about like sometimes you're going to make the wrong choice, and that's human. But I do think, you know, like this week, I need to pace myself for work. I'm not pushing anything forward because I have a glass ball. My daughter has a crazy schedule. She's on summer holidays and I can't drop that ball. It's on me. Next week, my husband's home. That's a rubber ball. He can pick it up. I'm going to push something in my business forward. And so I find myself constantly like finding the trade-offs, and like the priorities will fluctuate.
Okay.
And you learn to not make them too wrong as long as you keep reevaluating, because I can't put something on pause forever if that's important in my life, right? I haven't gone to the gym in 2 weeks. That's not sustainable. But I've had 10 people visit over the last 10 days. So, you know, I'm filling up my cup in a different way. But if every single day I was rigid, or every week or even every quarter in my business, I was rigid and I had to do certain things constantly, I would drive myself crazy, and I would honestly always just feel behind. And I think about the being behind energy as actually one of the worst energies for a CEO. It's really hard to like feel like you're being buried.
It's hard to create from there.
Very hard.
Because if you feel like you're drowning, if you feel fear, if you feel the protection mechanism kick in, it's really hard to be drowning and then being in a high frequency state where you can create.
Most people shut down.
Yeah.
And then it takes a lot to get back into momentum. And I think one of the things that is so critical is stay in momentum. So whatever keeps momentum, doesn't have to be fast, but just like some momentum is important. Yeah. And
do you find that practice, do you do this as a habit daily, or is it when you really need to do it? Do you know what I'm getting at?
It's constant in my brain.
Just like throughout the day, multiple times a day? Okay.
Now it's very much like, it's just like this checklist that like a thought will run through.
Okay.
I do it all the time. So now it's become this habit.
So you got like a filtering.
It's my filter.
A filtering basket. Like,
yeah.
I'll put this one here. I'll put that one there.
For example, this week, I didn't go grocery shopping on Sunday, which I usually do. Okay. And I was like, oh, like I feel kind of guilty about that because I know I'm going to pay for, like, we're doing takeout on Monday now. And that's not great for my kids. I want to like nourish their bodies. But then it's like, well, no, that's just paused until Wednesday. So like instantly I'm just like, no, like don't spend time or energy on this like stupid thing that just because you always do it and it's healthy and it's good to do. It's okay to drop that ball.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And who we've been programmed by these cultural things that are yes, and you should do or you shouldn't do. And then when you actually take a second to look at it and you feel this guilt for not doing something and you actually lean into it, you many times will just understand that, oh, I actually don't need to do that and I don't want to do it. So maybe I'll just drop the guilt on that area and move on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's why there's 3 things intentionally. So it's not binary. Yeah.
And the 3 things were
pause, push, pace.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Because then I'll look at a list and I'll be like, oh, I've paused this a little too long. What am I afraid of?
Very cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Why am I not moving that forward?
All right. Well, I think that, I guess the last question I have is for those that don't know you, how can they reach you and how can they get a hold of you? And what offerings do you have, I guess, to share with people?
Okay. So robyngooding.com is my website. Okay. On Instagram, mostly at robyn.gooding. And right now I work with clients in a one-on-one capacity and in a mastermind capacity. The mastermind is specifically for mothers. No, I shouldn't say that. It's for women in business, not yet mothers necessarily, but who want to be mothers in the future or have some kind of caregiving responsibility. So that could be like aging parents or even chronic health where you have to mother yourself more. But it's very much like a system of business that's supportive that way. And then one-on-one is where I support any business owner, any gender, any stage of business, anything.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
Thanks for
it.
having me.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.